Hey, how's it going? Otaku Mike here. Let's get wet and wild. Let's talk about Aquaman #1. Let's get into this. So, Aquaman #1 starts out with Aquaman responding to an emergency. This plane is about to crash into the ocean, and he goes to save said plane from crashing and saving all the people. We find out that Aquaman has been appointed the new king of Atlantis. Apparently, he was not king for some time. And we also find out that Aquaman has a new set of powers. Because of what happened with what Amanda Waller did, Aquaman ends up getting the power of hydrokinesis, and he ends up actually getting Mira's powers for hydrokinesis, and she ends up teaching him how to use his newly gifted powers. After the day is saved, Aquaman and Mira end up going back to Atlantis, where Aquaman has to do his kingly duties, which Aquaman doesn't really like so much. He doesn't like, I guess he likes being a king, but he doesn't like all the responsibility, it seems like, that comes with being a king. He gets kind of bored with all the stuff he has to do with, like, all the meetings and all the voting and stuff like that, and all the diplomacy and whatnot. While back at Atlantis, one of the people who works for Aquaman ends up finding this pearl, this big giant pearl. It's the size of like a big beach ball. And he's like, hey, I found this thing. It's weird. Aquaman tells him, hey, go look into this and tell me exactly what's going on with this giant, supposedly magical pearl that this guy finds. So, as Aquaman is doing his kingly duties for Atlantis, this giant kaiju water monster appears. I want to say it was Florida, but I can't remember exactly where it was. He ends up going to fight this kaiju monster, and it's a pretty awesome, fun fight. And as he defeats it, he leaves. He goes back to Atlantis. He hears the voice of Mira calling out to Arthur, and she's like, Arthur! And he gets back to Atlantis, and this big flash of bright light happens, and Atlantis is gone, and all that's left is this mysterious pearl. So Aquaman takes this giant pearl to the Watchtower. He's looking for Batman. He's like, hey, what's going on? I just lost my entire kingdom. Help me with this, Batman. And Batman and Zatanna and Wonder Woman start looking into this. Batman and Wonder Woman go with Arthur because the pearl is emitting some kind of energy. They follow where the energy source is. They get there. Aquaman puts the pearl into this weird like thing. It's like a gateway almost. It kind of looks almost like a Stargate with flowers. And this giant portal ends up opening up, and Aquaman has no choice but to go through the portal to find his lost kingdom. And that's where the story ends. All right, so let's take a look at the internal art. Oh, by the way, this is your creative team right here. I love the cover. The cover for Aquaman #1 looks so freaking like metal, of Aquaman riding a shark. This is kind of what sold me on like picking this up. I was like, man, that cover looks good. But we get like a little history of Aquaman himself. You know, he's a son, he's a lover, he's a king, he's a superhero, stuff like that. And we get to see Aquaman fighting this giant kaiju, and we get to see, I really like the artwork. Like, the artwork is really crisp and clean. Like, I love the way they make Aquaman look. Aquaman with a beard is just so much better. All superheroes need to have beards, I feel like. But yeah, here's Aquaman. He's saving the passenger of the plane with his hydrokinesis abilities. It's just very, very well done. I love the artwork. It's very top notch. I feel like I loved seeing Aquaman riding on top of a plane, like just almost like he's surfing on top of a plane. It was just really cool. This is one of the parts that I actually really did like, where Aquaman was kind of doing his little daily duties that he has to do, and he gets into the fight with the giant, if I can get to it, the giant kaiju monster right there, which he was like, man, this thing is made out of water. I should be able to beat it, right? But man, this fight was so much fun to read, and how he ends up actually like sort of like he ends up like taking the monster and like controlling it almost, and like making it like go in on itself. But yeah, the artwork is top notch. I love the panel layouts. Everything just looks like spot on, like just really, really well done. The artist definitely did a very, very good job. Oops, that's actually the Challenges of the Unknown. We're getting That was actually the Challengers sneak peek. But we already talked about the Challengers on my channel. Check out my Challengers review. And, as we get to the end where we see the Omega symbol and possibly Darkseid is back. So I ended up being very pleasantly surprised with Aquaman #1. Now, normally I am not an Aquaman fan, but I picked it up. I read the previews and a issue of whatever. I don't remember what it was. I was like, oh, this kind of looks cool. And honestly, the cover really got me. Aquaman riding on a shark with a water sword. That's pretty freaking cool. I thought the creative team, the writer and the artist, definitely had a handle on who Aquaman was, and they made him really, really cool. Normally I feel like Aquaman's kind of lame and kind of a joke in the DC universe, but hey, there's been different incarnations of Aquaman, so, some are more better than others. But yeah, I thought the story was well paced, a lot of fun. I liked that Aquaman kind of had a little bit of humor sprinkled in this first issue. He was very self-deprecating at times, where he kind of even made fun of himself, which I thought was funny. The action was very well done. The artwork was done very well. I did have some questions as why Aquaman was king again. I thought Aquaman was always king. Why did he get kicked out in the first place? I don't know. And they kind of had some hints sprinkled in that the Pearl has appeared in other comic books prior to this. So that was really interesting, and I want to know more about that. I think going forward, I will know more about this, and maybe possibly the disappearance of Atlantis and Aquaman's family is due to Darkseid. Who knows exactly? Maybe will Aquaman, my theory, possibly, maybe he's in the Absolute Universe at this moment. Who knows? But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like this? Did you pick it up? Did you not pick it up? What are your thoughts on Aquaman #1? Did you get it? Let me know down in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. I'm Otaku Mike. Peace out. Stay safe. Go read some comic books.